Let's make a few more specific points about what the universities are and what they need to be. We'll look more specifically at the medical education later on as well in the same chapter. Universities too often think of themselves as bearers of knowledge and truth, and of the world as lacking knowledge. So they think the world should come to the universities to gather this knowledge that they need. Universities, like other institutions of power, universities are institutions of power, okay, often see their relationship to the world in vertical terms, with all the knowledge flowing downward. Remember this ivory tower we talked about. When universities engage other sectors and publics, they too often forget how much knowledge exists outside of formal educational institutions and how much university researchers can learn from that knowledge. So the experiential knowledge that in fact gets codified over many generations in cultures, for example, about agriculture and rainfall variability over the monsoon region. There is tremendous knowledge that is just with the farmers. It has never been translated completely into books, for example, and into universities. So how can universities help farmers who may actually know more than them? That's the key question. This becomes particularly true and ethically problematic when universities approach disadvantaged communities as empty receptacles waiting to be filled with our knowledge. So the silo business can become a serious handicap when the proper collaborations are not set up in terms of actually asking them what they know and what they think they need help in. If you go to the village and say IPCC says CO2 is increasing, temperature is increasing, extremes are getting worse, and so on, that's not knowledge. So you have to ask them, what are you experiencing? What is that is suffering? What is it that you need help with? Then you can come at a very different set of questions that you need to answer rather than the answers you think you already have. Okay, technology transfer then needs bottom-up participation of intended users, both in the design of new technologies and in the social strategies for adopting and integrating new technologies into existing practices. There are many examples where ad hoc implementation of so-called solutions failed. And one good example is what Professor Ramanathan himself is running. It's called Project Surya. Surya in Sanskrit and Indian languages means sun. So Project Surya, women in rural Indian villages discuss the benefits of adopting a cleaner cook stove. There is plenty of data that shows that the indoor cooking, especially with biomass burning, wood, you can see the wood in the background here, and coal burning and cow dung burning and so on, has serious, very serious impact on respiratory health of women. I know that firsthand. Okay, so this is something that Surya is trying to address, but can they just go in with the cleaner cook stove and say, here it is, use it? Obviously not. So they are doing it this way, where the overview of the project is to mitigate the regional impacts of global warming by immediately, so it's mitigating the regional impacts of global warming created by somebody, let's say, these women don't have much to do with it, and demonstrably reducing atmospheric concentrations of black carbon, methane, and ozone. You remember these? These we called short-living climate pollutants, and they are super pollutants, methane and ozone, for example, because they have a global warming potential that's much, much higher than that of carbon dioxide. Project Surya will replace the highly polluting cook stoves traditionally employed in rural areas with clean cooking technologies. Metaphorically, Surya will create a black carbon hole within weeks of introducing the energy efficient technologies. Project Surya employs innovative sensing technologies to measure the positive climate and health impacts that result from this dramatic reduction in black carbon in unprecedented scale and resolution. Okay. It has a first phase where it will target 3 regions in rural India. They have picked certain places. They will provide sustainable, effective, incentive-based plans to enable 5,000 households in each region to switch to cleaner burning technologies such as solar cookers and other efficient stove technologies. So, it's a diffusion of information about global warming, indoor pollution, short-living climate pollutants, their impact on health, alternative solutions, and if they get adopted by early adapters in this region, then it can hopefully propagate more and more by itself. So, the other paradigm to follow is researchers, innovators, and climate activists need to be closely attuned to the needs and preferences of intended users for both ethical and pragmatic reasons. Okay? For example, if you say somebody decides population is a problem for climate change and they want to go and impose population control or try to enforce ideas on family planning, then is that ethical? Is that pragmatic? So those are the kind of issues one has to be very careful about. Carrying one's own knowledge, biases, prejudices, whatever you want to call, into regions and trying to sell them as solutions. Collaborating with intended user communities is an integral and ethical social strategy for designing more effective and sustainable solutions. So this is often referred to as co-development. Here is a nice example from this paper here on social innovation, which has to become a sustainable innovation. So in the center is of course the engagement, experience, and resource integration, which relies on social networks, apps and instant messaging, and encounter user provider kind of ideas. And so it's all about co-production or co-design, diffusion of value propositions, creation of sustainable innovation orientation, and so on. I won't go into all the details, but the main thing I want to emphasize is that there has to be a cultural fit as well as a knowledge fit for the technological innovation that is being provided as a solution. Okay, so these socio-technical transformations are not easy, and they need social innovations, and they need participatory development of solutions. So everything we do depends, everything we accept, everything we think of as salient or important or legitimate as credible depends on the source of information. So the better is the tie-up, better is the rapport, better is the trust between the innovators and whether it's science or technology and the social networks which are going to be adopting these solutions. More sustainably will the solution last in that community. Otherwise, it may be tried if it is given freely, for example, and then it may just be abandoned. Let's say you went and gave free solar stoves everywhere. They will take it if it's free, and they may try it, and they may have very strange cultural experiences that, for example, they may say the food doesn't taste the same unless it's cooked in a smoky coal burning or cow dung burning stove. How do you get past that? Okay, so it's not just about telling them it's bad for your health. You have to get past these other linked issues. For example, there is a belief that cooking with coal and wood and cow dung creates smoke and actually eliminates mosquitoes in the house, in the little hut. How do you get past that? So you have to be aware of all these related social issues.